morning, everyone. As you come in, we're glad that you're here. We're going to take just a minute and let everyone get in. So, we'd like to welcome you today to our presentation from our 35M professional development list. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from LitLife, and there are programs that were on the 35M list of science of reading and structured literacy. So we want to let you know that over the past 2 weeks, Wayne Risa has collaborated with vendors identified on the 35M professional develop list to offer webinars that provide an overview of their products and services. Today, you'll have the opportunity to learn more about LitLife during this 1 hour session. At the end of the week, once all sessions have been concluded, we'll begin sharing webinar recordings and information shared by the vendors. If you'd like earlier access, as soon as recordings are done, they will be up on our grant website at grants.risa.net. It is taking us a little longer to process videos. We're hoping to have everything up and done and finished by Tuesday morning. Under the 35M section on that website, you will find a updated recording list and vendor materials as they become available. So today, if you have any questions, please place them in the Q&A window. There will be representatives from the company to answer questions, and you can find this feature on your toolbar. If for whatever reason you're having difficulty with the Q&A feature, you can always put things in the chat as well. So Wayne Risa does not endorse specific providers. These webinars are offered as a service to help districts make informed decisions about the 35M grant spending. For questions about specific products, please contact the vendors directly. If you are a Wayne County district or school and would like support in identifying instructional needs or developing a plan for purchasing and adopting materials, we invite you to reach out to a Wayne Risa literacy consultant. And with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and I am going to invite Shannon Hickey from LitLife to come on and share about their product.
Thanks so much, Carrie. Thank you, Risa, and thanks to all of you for joining us this morning. Let's get started. Hey, Pam, how are you doing?
Hi, Shannon. I'm doing great. Great to be here with everybody in the great state of Michigan to talk about literacy.
Excellent. So, like Carrie said, we are LitLife, and we are offering a Science of Reading and Structured Literacy course that can be used with your 35M dollars. And we want to tell you today more about it and what it's like. So let's get started. Pam, you are the founder and president of LitLife. Would you share a little bit about the LitLife dream, how it got started in 2002, and how we got to where we are today?
Yeah, thanks, Shannon. I am very pleased to do just a quick introduction of LitLife. We are a professional development and literacy company that specializes in professional development, professional training for teachers. We started in 2002 with my vision that there is a much more exciting way to do professional development and a way that encompasses the hopes and dreams of a district, state level work that we began to do very early on, working alongside state-based initiatives, and also very local work, local districts, whether they be charter schools, public schools, private schools. We started to really expand our reach very quickly because districts were excited by the fact that we're really good listeners and we also have a lot of expertise to offer. My vision was that we could really train teachers quickly, rapidly, but with a lot of respect for the teaching profession and for what adult learners do in these settings. Because what we found was, and what LitLife's real goal has been, is to provide adults with the kind of training that will inspire them to do the very, very best practice work they can do around literacy in their classroom. So from 2002, I had districts that were just very excited to start that work with us. And throughout all these many years since, we've been doing work alongside districts across the country and around the world as well. And what I believe about LitLife is that teachers holding in their hands the toolbox for best practices on literacy can do absolutely extraordinary, profoundly life-changing things for students quickly. And that's always been our vision, and we've always had great luck with that. And we're excited to present this course today.
Excellent. So you want to give us a little recap about who you are?
Yes, so I've created many programs. I am very entrepreneurial about the work I do with schools and public, private education. I'm really interested in solving problems. So one of the programs that people know me for in Michigan include Lit Camp, which is a summer school program that's used widely across the country and was a solution for very uninspired summer school academic literacy programs. We turned the tide on that and turned a summer slide into a summer leap. Also, I've created many, many programs for literacy that have done important things in the world of education. I consider myself to be a collaborator, so I love creating and making things with other people. So my longtime co-author, Dr. Ernest Morel, who's a professor of literacy at the University of Notre Dame, is a very close colleague of ours and spends a lot of time with me thinking about the research behind all this work, and you'll see that influence throughout the entire presentation.
And I'll introduce myself. So I'm Shannon Hickey. I'm the CEO here at LitLife. And my story begins in the Pacific Northwest, where I studied Spanish and elementary education. And after I was finishing my undergraduate work, it brought me to the international school sphere. And so for 17 years, I was a classroom teacher as well as a curriculum coordinator, K-5, curriculum coordinator from ages 3 to 12. And then the final years before joining the LitLife team, doing K-12 curriculum development, where we were actually looking at all of our different accrediting agencies, all of the expectations, and then our own school population and what we wanted to achieve to design a really personalized system for learning in our institution. So I head up our US-based partnerships, and I also collaborate with Vincent Ventura, who is our head of LitLife International, to design and deliver professional learning for schools across the globe. Thankfully, we are in 19 countries as of yesterday and across all 50 states to support evidence-based learning, really intentional practice, and the joy of implementation. So let's share a little bit about what makes LitLife different. We've heard some from a really amazing partners throughout this week, but what is it that makes LitLife special? So one of the things that we believe in deeply, and Pam alluded to this when she was presenting about the LitLife story, is this relational professional development. We know that learning in the classroom is built on a solid foundation of trust, of confidence, of care in the classroom. And so that same truth is brought into everything we do in our professional learning.
And Shannon,
We
I would
also,
add
yeah,
on,
go ahead.
yeah, I just want to add on to that to say when you take a look at the course that we're offering, all of that was baked into the course. So all of our years from 2002 on, that experience that we have in making things for teachers that they actually want to do, they're not just going to watch and say that didn't relate to me, did not relate to my classroom. We really baked that into the course itself. So the course is very turnkey, very easy to implement, very easy for you to share with your entire school slash district slash community. However, I think the secret sauce of LitLife is we know how adults learn. We understand what might be barriers and also what might be incredibly motivating. And that work that we've done in all of the years of working alongside teachers, side by side with them, every image you see, even in this presentation, are our LitLife leaders working, really standing up for the work and really demonstrating to teachers what the best practices are, really listening, getting feedback from teachers on what's getting in their way and how can we share best, how can we be teachers of teachers in a way that feels very realistic, understands the conditions they're working in, the size of their classrooms, the nature of those challenges, and more. And so when we share with you the course that we're going to share with you, you will understand that what has gone into that is not made by a machine, nor is it made in some corporate setting, miles away from where teachers are. We've actually very diligently, very thoughtfully, very intentionally tried to create modules and online courses that represent a real understanding. Teachers are doing this work. It's their life work. It's mission-driven work, and we really don't want to ignore that because it makes people a lot better in their work to know that that's all part of the solution. So that specializing in adult learning is really important to us. We've learned a lot of techniques for that over the years. So when it comes to online learning, we're the best. We really do that really well. So back to you, Shannon.
Yeah, and so let's dive into that adult learning a little bit. One term that we love to use is low floor, high ceiling. We know that there are so many different entry points, especially in the science of reading journey right now. Some people are still coming to the science of reading with not a lot of background knowledge. If we have new teachers or we have teachers who are coming into the profession from other fields, the science of reading might be something that's a little bit scary. It might feel very daunting. And we also have teachers who, for many, many years, have really focused in on the research and have really explored information diligently across the internet, across books, and other resources. So we want to make sure that every teacher has an entry point, but also feels limitless in their learning. So our low floor, high ceiling approach is where we take adult learning and make it different.
Because Shannon, I think, and everyone will agree who's listening, the work of professional development, professional growth only means a lot to everyone if it transfers to the child, transfers to our students. So that all the work we've done alongside teachers, right next to students, leaning in, really thinking about what is this going to take to get this child or this young adult to become a lifelong super reader, super writer. That's really for us, that's the ultimate goal. And we're always thinking about that, which is where this idea of LitLife is here as a kind of a wise guide for the teacher in that online experience or that face-to-face experience. And also, we all know, and we're all together knowing that the ultimate goal is I want that child next to that teacher to be able to make extraordinary strides very quickly.
Excellent. And so this is a little bit about how we get there. These are the thoughts and the questions that we ask ourselves and the questions that we then invite our partners to also think about in our coursework, in our other partnerships that we develop is our AIR model, right? Breathing in new air. Pam, you always say reading is breathing in and writing is breathing out. And this whole breathing of how just grounded it is a big part of what we do. And so our AIR framework also works with alignment, intention, and resources. So we're asking ourselves these hard questions. Is our work aligned to our data and our strategy? Are the teaching practices I'm using aligned with evidence? How purposeful am I being with my instruction? And how does this look across our building? How does it look across our district? And then my resources, looking at my resources. Are these contributing to my achievement as an educator? Are they contributing to the students and their achievement? Or perhaps are they limiting some of our success? So this same framework of questioning and reflecting and critical reflection is a big part of our coursework.
And we've really consolidated that for the online aspect of the course. So it feels easy to implement, easy for teachers to watch, easy for teachers to absorb. But there is that feeling of excitement and a feeling of learning something new. And that we are aligning to data, we are aligning to effective strategies and best practices around the science of reading and writing that will help us to advance the work and the growth in a district. And I also think in terms of the AIR model for us, I do really want everybody to want to show up for the work. I know we see across the country now, Shannon and I are in a lot of different places and we see teachers expressing frustration. I feel like I've been trained on things and then I don't really know what the application is in my classroom. And that is exactly where LitLife comes in. We are practical, we are grounded, we are helping teachers to you can be sure we're aligning to data and best practices and state level standards. And at the same time, that commitment or that intention of how we're committing to daily success can only happen if we give practical strategies in that course. And that's exactly what we're going to do, and we're going to show you.
And so our partnerships really look different depending on your school, depending on your district, depending on your community, whether it's, a very large district, a small district, a charter school, whatever it is that you find yourself as an educator. We work with pre-service teachers up to superintendents. We work with multilingual educators, those who have unique pathways to certification, your principals and your coaches at a building level, to be able to develop our coursework, our workshops, to help you design initiatives and roll them out successfully and thoughtfully, to coach you as literacy leaders, to help you guide the reflection in your PLCs, to help you onboard parents and caregivers in the work as well, and be really strategic about what that work might look like.
And Shannon, that's amazing to me, because something very amazing and exciting to me over these last 5 years is that I think people have turned to us as a trusted partner, not only for teachers, but also saying, my parents, they're asking questions about literacy practice. They feel very frustrated that their kids aren't developing fast or confidently enough. And they're interested and curious about the science of reading, but they feel like it's really hard to understand. And so we've helped districts also on the family parent side to really simplify, really make it family friendly, parent friendly experience. We have online courses for that too, on another note. And also just in terms of seeing the LitLife partnership as something you can customize in addition to the online course. Are there other things that you might need around this work that we're doing, this important work? I feel like what's really fun about the work that LitLife does is that there's always just that element of it's just a pure pleasure to actually see our kids succeeding, and we're right there for that. So I just want everyone to know that we expect there to be a lot of happiness in this work. That's a really important thing for us. And that for that reason, even though as school districts, you have a lot on your plate, we can bring that science of reading joy actually to your families, to your parents, and of course to your students, most importantly. But all of our courses and all of our workshops can be used to meet the needs of the different constituencies in the district.
Excellent. So, just to give our team here a little bit of a background on how we got to be on this list. So, in the late winter, there was a request for submissions put out by the Michigan Department of Education, where applicants needed to show that their coursework fulfilled certain non-negotiable characteristics and did so effectively, efficiently, and high quality. And so what we did was submit all of our coursework, our syllabus, our slide decks, our organization, our reading, everything about our trainers. And they went through slide by slide, word by word, to be able to confirm that our work is grounded in reading development, that these non-negotiables for reading, for writing, for fluency, for comprehension are evident, but also that they're high quality in their professional development principles, right? That we're actually creating a space and creating the conditions for professionals to find success, to be effective, to get the tools that they need to be to increase the impact of their work. And so without further ado, let's get into what this course is actually going to do. So as a result, as the outcomes of this course, your teachers, your educators, if you're a school principal or a superintendent, assistant superintendent, is to really be able to understand the scientific principles of the sciences of reading, writing, and learning. We put those together because that is where the magic happens. Our teachers will be able to apply evidence-based practices across their literacy block. They'll be able to synthesize, demonstrate, and reflect on what these principles look like in the classroom and purposefully take action to do it on purpose and to do it on purpose daily and to do it with confidence and clarity. I know what I'm doing here with this child in front of me, with this small group of children, with this group of second graders or fourth graders or fifth graders. We know what we're doing and why.
That's it. And that's just really giving teachers the resources, the tools to really get out there into the classroom, not to keep it in some very distant theoretical place, but really take it right into the classroom. Let's make this happen. Let's get this done, and that's what I love about our outcomes is we're going to see those results.
And knowing that it tells the story of Michigan too, right? Knowing that our work is not just a canned program, but we're going to consider what does Michigan, what are the priorities in Michigan? What are the goals in Michigan? What do we want our learners and our educators in Michigan to take away from this work to really launch into being national leaders in literacy? So we know you have the literacy essential practices. And so we've also baked this into our work as our modules. We've considered how are we covering these 10 essential practices across our coursework and having opportunities to make explicit connections between your essential practices, the priorities that you have as a state, perhaps the priorities and that you have as a district or as a school, and then connect them with these evidence-based practices. Something we love here that we love seeing, especially, and Pam, I know you'll agree, is how there is both reading and writing shared on the daily, and we value that so deeply.
Yes.
So you'll see these highlighted. We won't read them aloud to you because we know that you know them. We know they're part of your own strategic planning, but just so you feel confident that our work also explores this. So let's talk about what this course looks like. So the course is 4 modules, 55 total hours over 21 individual sessions. So what do those modules and what do those sessions look like? So module 1 is going to be the foundations of the science of reading. And we're going to explore how the brain learns to read. We're going to look at these theoretical reading models that are grounded in research. And we're going to look at our K-5 learners. We're going to look at these profiles. We're going to talk about the challenges that our readers and our writers face. And we're going to consider our students with dyslexia and what teaching and learning looks like. Spoiler alert, when we're teaching really thoughtfully, considering our students who have who are struggling with dyslexia, we're actually going to improve the practice for all learners in our classrooms.
Definitely, there is such a guiding light for us to help us really stay on the path to success, to say, are we doing this for all children? And I think in some ways on module 1 in our course, some teachers have said to us, I've seen this before, but when you talk about it, when your team talks about it, it feels so grounded in the life of my students and the life of my classroom and what my students coming from home to school and back again, where are all the places that we can actually apply these principles of the science of reading? That's what makes this course really unique and really special and really enlivening because it is based on those best practices. And also our team, I think, does an amazing job saying these are actually the real challenges that get in the way. And we're gonna be opening those up, unpacking them, and giving you the tools to get back into the classroom.
Excellent. And then we move into module 2. Module 2 is the meat and potatoes of the principles of the science of reading. So looking deeply into word recognition and language comprehension. So if you are familiar with the simple view of reading or you're familiar with Scarborough's rope, you know that we have those 2 elements that need to really be entwined together really strategically and automatically. And then the essentials of writing. If you're familiar with the writing rope, you'll see that reflected here too. How do our transcription and our composition skills then also really solidify? And then how do these two speak to each other so that we're actually synergizing reading with writing on the daily? So when I teach phonics and I teach handwriting, and I'm teaching spelling. When I'm looking at the beauty of language in a grade level text, I am seeing myself as a capable writer and creator of these texts on my own as well. And module 3, evidence-based instruction. We're going to look at the literacy block, and we're going to think about the literacy block in your classrooms, in your school buildings, or in your district. What does an effective literacy block look like? How are we being systematic with our phonics? Where are we finding purposeful comprehension instruction? And where is the writing coming in to support reading success? And then we're going to have this conversation. We're going to put on the table and let's talk about what's the difference between balanced and structured literacy. What do we value and what is important to make sure is present in our classrooms on the daily? Let's think about leveled reading. Let's talk about 3Qing and why are we moving away from it? What is the problem here that we're seeing? And what are our solutions, right? It's easy to say bad, no, but if we don't replace that with here's what does work, here's what is effective, then we leave people feeling stranded and feeling a little bit abandoned in the work. And our wraparound support is really important to us. And what do assessments look like? What should we expect out of our universal screenings? What should we look at from our diagnostics? How should our progress monitoring be moving forward? What should we expect from that data? And knowing that we are the cause as educators, as leaders, and student learning is the effect. So when we see the effects, we need to be able to identify what we did as the cause to create those conditions and to create those outcomes. And in module 4, we put it all together. We look at the science of learning. And you may have noticed, we've discussed several times here, it's really important us to amplify joy, the well-being of our educators, the well-being of our students, and to be happy in this work, to create systems where there is high accountability, where there is high interest and high engagement, the role of executive functioning. But also what you might see that's unique here too is when we look at whole group instruction or small group instruction, we're going to invite our educators to think about their resources, to think about their timing, to think about their voice within the work. You have now the knowledge. You have some practical applications. Now make it your own. Make the science of reading come to life in your classroom. Create your planning, create your system that's going to be really effective for you. And also, we know that this may be the case in some districts more than others, but considering our English learners, what does structured literacy look like and sound like for our English language learners? And then we're going to pull it all together with our literacy essentials for Michigan and our educator practices and really reflect on how the science of reading journey is going to look like in a successful classroom.
And there's, Shannon, there's such great research as we're going to, mention here. But I think one of the things is, as you said, it's very overwhelming for teachers and they're told, well, that was okay, but no longer. And I think what we do in our course is say, we're moving forward. These are really, really strong and powerful best practices. Here's why. And also just to give that grounding on the research that there's amazing, work out there. Teachers are practitioners. We know, being alongside teachers in classrooms with the real lived lives of students, they're amazingly complex, beautiful, glorious lives of children, teachers need to be able to focus on those relational conversations they're having with children, really being able to observe them in a clinical way, also in a research-based way. At the same time, just get in there with some really good SOR practices and get them going. And I think in order to do that, I think what the course does, it honors things that may have come before, but it doesn't say we do not stay there. We're always moving. And what I love about the science of reading and what I love about the work we're doing across the country is that I think for our teachers, we're giving them a very practical, very good framework and grounding for a pathway they can see forward, and what I love about the LitLife course is that we are speaking from many years of experience, and we're also very excited about the future. We're not seeing this as a negative can't do. We're actually, I love this. I love how this course represents that the optimism, the positivity of this work, the fact that kids love it and they get really hands-on, but we have to show teachers how to help kids love it because that's the missing piece. There's a lot of repetitive instruction happening right now from teachers who don't know a lot about the science of reading, so they take a small sliver of it. And I think with our research, we're going to share in the course, we give everyone a kind of a nifty cliff's eye view of the research, so teachers don't have to go out and do all that heavy lifting themselves, but at the same time, makes them feel settled and comfortable that the best practices around the science of reading are going to give them a rich success output from their students.
Absolutely. And so each session, we will provide a quick view research summary for educators to get to be abreast of the most recent and well-informed practices and information. We will provide either video or live training support so that we can go deeply into this content, provide a space for discussion to really promote interactive learning, providing resources with guides, templates, those slide decks if you want to go back and check information again, quizzing to reinforce the essential knowledge that we know needs to be automatic and really accessible for educators, but including also this continued reflection that we're going back to our framework of alignment, intention, and resource. So that will be something that you will find in each one of those 21 sessions. So delivery mode, this is why you're here, right? What does this look like and how much is it going to cost, right? So we have 4 different options here. One is being on-demand virtual, our most popular, is great for teacher time and flexibility. That is $295. And we will give your teachers access for 2 years. So if to be able to stretch that out over the time and space that they need to be able to best explore and dive into the content. If you would like to have live virtual sessions to come together as a community on Zoom or on Google Meets or whatever platform is best for your district, $495. If you would like to look at a hybrid model where we do some online learning and then we come in, we look at the practices in your school, in your building, $595. And if you say, you know what, we just really value having everyone in one room, having this think tank of togetherness, we will absolutely support that work. That's $895 per person. And the same for all of these, having that resource available for 2 school years or 2 years from the start of the work. And before we open up for questions, we just want to leave some invitations for reflection. We know that those who are here with us this morning or who are watching on a replay are really considering and doing some window shopping to decide how to best spend these 35M funds, whether you're looking at Tier 1 resources, intervention resources, or professional development. And we know that you need to choose one. Some things that we invite you to reflect upon is that the importance of professional development, increasing your community's satisfaction, increasing retention of your staff, and also an opportunity to really be a space where teachers want to be. So, supporting your recruitment. We know that the best tool for increasing student achievement is not a one and done resource. It's actually collective teacher efficacy. So our professional development is going to help you increase that collective teacher efficacy, which is proven to have a huge impact on student outcomes. And talking about curricular resources, we know how important they are, but the intentionality of usage is what makes them effective, and that depends on the educator. And we know that there's a lot of ideals out there. There's a lot of maybe some facts that we throw around as truth, and we want to make those ideals into a reality in your classrooms, in your school. And we can make that experience really personal so that if you're a small district, if you're a charter school, if you need some deep multilingual perspectives, or if you're a large district that really wants to build a sense of community across many, many schools, we will help you create that environment and really maximize those dollars for the amount of time that you need.
I think what you're saying, and just to underscore that, it's both the options are to scale, and we can do that through our online course, that module, and the options as well to customize, which is to say you may have specific needs in your district around this work, and we're very comfortable in both lanes. We know how to customize, and we also know how to scale, and that's kind of unique, I think, to LitLife, especially just because our focus is so much on adult learning and how adults learn. We've been able to do that really well. So I like the idea that, for us, personalizing to different needs, and as you said, Shannon, a great deal of experience on our end around the multilingual perspectives and how multilingual students are learning, and what is the multilingual connection to the science of reading, which has been a huge focus of our work over the last few years. We'd be happy to talk more. We will touch on that in the online course, but we can actually customize that subject for you as well.
And so just we'll finish off with some don't take our word for it, but this is what people say about our work. They say that it's engaging, that the environment is supportive, that it's practical, that it's hands-on, that they're interactive. They say, it's transformational, which is one of the most powerful pieces of words that every organization wishes to hear in their feedback. That we can maintain interest online, which is extremely challenging, and to really develop professional relationships with our partners. And so the invitation for you is to get connected with us. You can find us on social media, LitLife PD on Facebook, LitLife Inc. on Instagram, also LitLife on LinkedIn. For pricing and logistics, if you'd reach out to the email info@litlifepd.com. And if you have any content questions, or if you'd like to set up a meeting to talk about your specific district or your specific school, please reach out to me directly. I'd be happy to set up a time and a place for us to meet together. And then if you'd like to see us and visit us here on our website, the QR code is there, or www.litlifepd.com. And with that, if there are any questions, we're happy to take them. Otherwise, we'll turn it back over to you, Carrie.
Yeah, thank you, Shannon and Pam, for sharing your product with us. So we really appreciate it. I'm going to stop recording for those of you who are online so that if you do have a question, you're able to come off mute. To those of you who are not online and are watching this recording, we want to thank all of you for being a part today and for taking the needs of your students and your staff into consideration with this kind of legacy building grant that you have the opportunity to have. So thank you very much.